Hey guys, so today is a bit of a different video. I'm going to be talking through a very British Christmas. So, I got this inspiration for this video from Joel&Lia, who I love. They're very entertaining. I highly recommend that you check them out because they always give me a good giggle. And also from Lily and Anna, so Lily Pebbles and Anna Newton, but the Anna Edits podcast, because they recently did a Christmas one of At Home With, which is with Rich and Mark, which are their husbands, and love Lily and Anna to pieces anyway, but I was listening to it at lunch and it had me in balls of laughter. So I've got my Christmas jumper on, which you can't really see, from Primark from a few years ago. I'm just going to talk to you through some of the Christmas things that we do on a Christmas day in my family, so get ready. So what happens is, it's going to be a bit different this year because there is 2 new babies in my household. I've got a new niece and a new nephew. They're both, one's a month and one's about 2.5 months old, so it's going to be very different this year. But typically what would happen, and this happened up to my sister being 37, is that everyone would be at mum and dad's, and this I'm talking about like Christmas as a child and Christmas as growing up, because I've got worst memory in the world, so it's not just nostalgia, but actually what happened in most recent years is, so you wake up about 7:30, that's when Father Christmas would like you to wake up. We never had our stockings in our rooms because Father Christmas was going to wake us up. So they were never in our rooms, they're always downstairs in the lounge, lying on the floor. We had a sack that was probably about each, like a plastic sack thing with a drawstring, but the drawstring was never done up, which had like some cartoon Christmassy scenes on with Father Christmas, etc. They were plastic and about probably 1 metre wide by like 1 metre square each way, and they were just in the lounge, and they were your Father Christmas presents were in those. And then we got main presents from mum and dad, which were outside of the stocking. So you had your stocking, which was just Father Christmas exclusive presents, and then outside of that you would have mum and dad's, your main present, rather than the stocking presents. And what was in stockings, like in more recent, well, probably from like teenager upwards, you would get like bits and pieces that you needed, like you get toiletries that would last you a while, you get stuff like that, some chocolate. If you'd ask for, I don't know, some smaller gifts, they would be in your stocking, and then if you asked for a main present, it would be from mum and dad. So the only main present that I can literally remember, 2 of them. One that I can remember, I can't really remember many from me. I remember my brother always used to get like probably 10 to 15 DVDs as his main present in a big box. So they'd be in a box wrapped, and then individually the DVDs would be wrapped, DD/CDs, because he collects those. So they'd be individually wrapped within a box. My noticeable ones that stick out in my memory were, once when I was a teenager I got a printer, very exciting, but I think that's something I needed because I was coming into doing GCSE stuff, so I had a printer. And then 2 years ago I just bought a new car, and it didn't come with a spare tyre, so I got a spare tyre for Christmas. Obviously the spare tyre I knew about because it was already in my car and it wasn't wrapped up, but they're the most noticeable presents I got. So Christmas morning, this would usually be at the point you were having breakfast, before breakfast, or just after breakfast. You would open Father Christmas's presents first within the stocking, and then you'd open the main presents, which would normally be the more expensive ones than what would be in the stocking slash sack afterwards. So that would be at 7, well, like at breakfast time, so that would probably happen between 7 and 8 a.m. After that, so we'd probably like watch whatever's on television, so we'd probably be watching BBC Breakfast at that point, and then there's some television program that's not television, radio program that my mum listens to every year, which is kind of nostalgic Christmas on Radio 2. Can't remember the name of it. I'm sure someone out there would know the name of it, but I can't remember it. If I remember, I'll put written here or down below. Then, so we'd do that, and then we would have always at breakfast, well, like when we've just opened our presents, we'd have a sherry. I wouldn't, because it's disgusting and I hate it, but most of my other members of my family would have a sherry. I don't think my mum would, but yeah, it was always a sherry. We tried like Bucks Fizz one year, but it was always sherry. And then, so we'd watch telly, maybe watch a Christmas film which was on, like maybe The Snowman was on, or maybe like The Muppets Christmas Carol was on early or something like that. And then at between 10 and 11, so 11sies, we would have a biscuit selection, which would usually be the Fox's biscuit selection, or the M&S one, the milk chocolate, no, the all selection one, not just milk chocolate, the one that's in the blue from M&S. And we'd have that with a tea, and then we would open the family gifts. So the Christmas presents from Father Christmas and Mum and Dad were never under the tree. Mum and Dad's were never under the tree. And Christmas presents that weren't from my brother or sister to me, or my brother or sister and me to my parents, were never under the tree either. So what would happen is we'd get all the presents from under the tree and bring them into the lounge, and not really distribute them. We didn't really have a system, it just kind of just went. But then we would all get our own gifts that we had for other people in the immediate family down from wherever they were in our rooms or whatever. We always, and this happens at birthday, Christmas, we always act like we don't have anything for anyone else. Like, you hide your presents from people. You don't say, oh, like, you don't do, like, say you bought someone a present. You, like, hide it from someone. So we'd then bring them down, and then we kind of open them. We do open them now, we do. I can't remember what would happen in previous years, but we would open them one by one. So what we'd normally do is open each other's first. So normally my siblings and I would exchange gifts, and then we'd watch them open the gifts. So people would take it in turns, and then the children would then give the gifts to my mum and dad. Individually, we'd watch them open them. Sometimes mum and dad would open them at the same time. Sometimes, no, what usually happened was that, like, my sister would give me and my brother presents, and then me and my brother would open them at the same time. I'd give my present to my sister and my brother. They would open them at the same time. My brother would give me his present to me and present to my sister, and we would open them at the same time. But it would be in like I give them to my siblings, they open them like that, and then the children would each give mum and dad their presents, and they would open them at the same time. That is what happened. And then so me and my brother and my sister never give each other cards. Well, we used to, but we stopped that about probably 10 years ago. But we would always give my mum and dad a card each, and we don't give them before, we give them on the day. And then after we've given each other our presents, remember mum and dad gave us, the children, presents with Santa's sack, we'd then open the presents that were under the tree. These were from friends and other family. So then we'd just distribute those and probably open them all together, not really one at one, but all together. And that's what would happen, and that would take probably half an hour-ish, maybe 45 minutes, maybe an hour, depending on how quick we're doing it. So then, between 12 and 1 is when dinner would start. So we call it dinner. You can call us Northern for doing that, but if it's a cooked food, it's dinner in our house. No matter what time of day it is, if it's at 12 o'clock, it's dinner if it's cooked. If it's at 3 o'clock, if it's cooked, it's dinner. If it's at 6 o'clock, if it's cooked, it's dinner. If it's at 8 o'clock, it's cooked, it's dinner. Maybe if it was at 8 o'clock, it might be called supper. And then what we would call the cold food would be tea. So that's always been the way. We're not Northern, but that is just what happens. I know that's a very Northern thing to do, is call dinner tea. But we've always done it in our house. I don't know why. But that's what would happen. So anyway, between 12 and 1 is when dinner would start. And this is when you have your turkey. So Mum normally would do, she would just put turkey, how would she do it? I think she would put turkey on everyone's plate, and then you help yourself to the Yorkshire puddings, the roast potatoes, the carrots, the Brussels sprouts, the cabbage, the cranberry sauce, the stuffing, parsnips, swede, stuff like that. You'd help yourself to, but my mum would put the turkey already on your plate, and then you put all the stuff together with the gravy. So then we have the main course, so the turkey and whatever. Have that. Then in between the main and the dessert, we would then pull the crackers. Now, my mum normally buys the crackers like half price the year before, and she normally buys the ones that are a bit better than the normal ones. So what we would get in our crackers is like, you get a key ring, you'd get a nail clipper, you'd get a pack of cards, you'd get something like that that's like silver and not just a plastic toy. And then obviously a party hat, and they're usually gold or silver, and we'd put them on, and that's the point we would put them on. For the past 2 or 3 years, we would do Secret Santa in between main and dessert, as well as doing crackers. So we'd pull the crackers and then do a Secret Santa. We're not doing that this year, but Secret Santa would happen, and that is, everyone would have an individual person to buy for, and I think the limit was £10, and it was to be like a game or something. We did that for a few years, but we're not doing it this year. And it's just a like fun little game, like wooden game, like card game, stuff like that, that we would do. Then we'd have dessert. So that would be, I think we always have a Christmas pudding. I don't like Christmas pudding, so I wouldn't have that. Then we would have like an apple or rhubarb crumble, and then a trifle as well, because I would eat the trifle. And then a cheese board as well, because my brother-in-law doesn't eat dessert, so he just likes cheese board. So we'd have cheese board as well. And then we'd eat that, and then after that we would have some kind of mint selections, like the Benedict's mints or Elizabeth Shaw or something. And we'd have that, and also a tin of roses as well, somewhere in the mix. Never Quality Street. We do not allow Quality Street into our house. It's probably controversial, but Quality Street is not allowed because none of us like the taste of it. We much prefer roses, a celebration of heroes. More roses, and then you have celebrations and heroes as well, but roses is the preferred choice in our house, not Quality Street. So then we'd finish dinner probably about 2, 3 o'clock. Then there'd be a whole washing up saga, because we never used to have a dishwasher, because my mum doesn't believe in dishwashers. They had one once and it ruined everything, so she's never gone back there. So dishwashing duties would happen, and everyone would try. My dad would go up to bed to sleep, and we'd all get involved in washing up, kind of. I hate washing up, so I try and get out of it. But there we go. And then after that, we'd probably just relax on the sofas for a bit, watch whatever on the telly, probably watch a film. Like last year we watched Paddington, this year I think we're going to watch Paddington 2. Like just chill out and watch stuff on the sofas, maybe play a board game. My sister, my mum would either do like the big quiz of the year crossword thing, which is in the Telegraph. They would do a jigsaw puzzle, we'd play Monopoly, like last year I bought for the family. Normally someone buys, like my mum or my sister, someone buys like a new board game every year. Last year I bought Selfridge's Monopoly because they had like a special thing with Monopoly, and we would play that. We might play Scrabble, something like that. Never Cluedo because my brother always wins, and we don't do Cluedo because of that. Something like that in the afternoon, and then about 5 or 6 o'clock we'd have Christmas tea, and this would be like sandwiches, which would normally be cheese and cucumber, cheese and ham, salmon, stuff like that in sandwiches. Then like quiche, mini pizzas, like party kind of food, because we're not hungry enough after everything else we've eaten not full enough after everything else we've eaten all throughout the day. And then we would have a Christmas cake. So my mum makes Christmas cake every year, and it's very particular. It's like a fruit cake but on like extra. So fruit cake which has got cinnamon and spice and stuff in with like brandy and things in that. Then a thick layer, it has to be thick, layer of marzipan, and then a thick, hard, spiky layer of icing on top. Like, this icing will break your teeth. It is so thick. But that is my mum's Christmas cake. I'll try and insert some pictures like of the Christmas cake we've done this year because I decorated the top. But it's got to be a thick layer of icing, like break your teeth level. And that would probably last till like well into January because it's like this big. Yeah, so then we just have like chocolate roll, like the M&S like tub things. So you'd have like chocolate rolls, swish roll, whatever you want to call it, and like little cake nibbly bits and chocolate and things like that. And then you'd kind of like pick that stuff up, and then we'd kind of eat that in the lounge, not formally at a table. We'd eat dinner, Christmas dinner, formally at the dining room table, but we'd eat the tea, like nibbly bits. Like there would always be cocktail sausages. Oh, I forgot. How did I forget pigs in blankets with the Christmas dinner? How did I forget that? That's like a crucial part. And then we'd have crisps and stuff with the tea, so like Twiglets, Cheeselets, like what they call frazzles, stuff like that. All on the Christmas table, like twirls, oh my god, Pringles and things like that. So that would all be in the evening, and we'd just probably nibble the way through that. Like it would kind of be buffet style right the way up till the evening, like doing that. And then in the evening we would watch the TV shows. So you have your, I nearly said Holby, but I don't think that's on. But you'd have your not Casualty, Coronation Street and EastEnders would be the classic go-tos that we would watch. I think one's after the other, and we always watch them every year. I'm not even into them anymore. I used to be very heavily into EastEnders, but I'm not even anymore. But you can just pick them back because all the same characters are back in whenever. So always that, and then whatever the comedy is in the evening. So I think Michael McIntyre normally. And then there used to be a sitcom every year, didn't there? Like, I remember when the final episode of Vicar of Dibley was on, and the final Gavin and Stacey, final Miranda, all of those we'd watch in the evening. And we would probably just fall asleep on the sofa doing that. So that is my family's traditional Christmas, British traditional day. A lot of food, a lot of presents, and probably in the evening we'd do another board game as well. That's probably what would happen in between tea and then watching EastEnders and whatever. We'd do that, but then we'd also have nibbly bits and like the roses open all at the same time. So that was what would happen in my house on a traditional Christmas. Please tell me, I know this was a super long video, but please tell me what you would do on your traditional Christmas if you're from another country. What do you do? If you're from the UK, is this similar to what you do? Please let me know. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you're not already. Follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you after Christmas. Happy Christmas!